Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Randy and I'm continuing with my series where I go through each year and tell you my favorite album, my favorite song, my favorite movie, my favorite television show for that year. We're up to 1970. One caveat is I have to have a physical copy in my collection in order to show it, or to pick it. And I also, on the television series, they're only eligible their debut season, although I'll take the full run of the series into consideration. And I was going to try to do these every week. I was pretty good earlier when I was doing these, and now it's probably going to be every other week. But let's get to 1970, and I will say today that I am actually wearing a musical shirt. I got the Rolling Stones here. I don't have too many, but anyway, let's get to it. 1970. All right, let's get to the albums. My fourth runner-up for my favorite album from 1970 is Simon & Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water. They were on the Columbia label. This is my favorite Simon & Garfunkel album, with Art Garfunkel's amazing vocals on the title track, the poetry of Paul Simon on songs like The Boxer and The Only Living Boy in New York. There is some extra credit also for writing a song with Frank Lloyd Wright in the title, as Paul Simon wrote this for Art, who had majored in architecture at Columbia University. Fantastic Simon & Garfunkel album. Third runner-up, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs by Derek and the Dominos. Nice pictures in there. And Don Polidor. Now, this was a great double album from the short-lived blues rock band headed by Eric Clapton on guitar, with keyboardist and singer Bobby Whitlock, bassist Carl Randall, and drummer Jim Gordon. And they added guitarist Duane Allman for the Layla sessions. So many great songs on here. Layla, about Clapton's secret love for Pattie Boyd, George Harrison's wife. Just fantastic singing by Eric Clapton on this. Probably his best singing is on this Derek and the Dominos album. Also love Bobby Whitlock singing on Thorn Tree in the Garden, beautiful ballad. Bell Bottom Blues, I Looked Away, Tell the Truth, Why Does Love Got to Be So Sad? Great blues rock album by Derek and the Dominos, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. My second runner-up for favorite album of 1970 is Cosmo's Factory. This is one of those double things they had. It has like CCR's Pendulum and Cosmo's Factory on it both, but there's the Cosmo's Factory cover. And on the Fantasy label. My favorite album by CCR is Cosmo's Factory. Show it there again. Has so many great songs on here. And it's amazing that they released 5 great albums in a two-year span, just unheard of. So in here you got songs like Ramble Tamble, Before You Accuse Me, Traveling Band, nice fast rocker, Looking Out My Back Door, Run Through the Jungle, Who'll Stop the Rain, Up Around the Bend, Long as I Can See the Light. And I heard it through the grapevine, just a down and dirty cover of it. Just almost every song on here, I think, got some radio play. And wonderful John Fogerty vocals. Yeah. Cosmo's Factory. Second runner-up. Actually went back and forth on what I was going to have as my number one album for 1970, and actually changed just before I started doing this video. So my first runner-up is going to be Neil Young, After the Gold Rush. This is my favorite Neil Young album. Neil takes on love and social issues and comes out triumphant in both. Southern Man attacks racism in the American South. You have the beautiful single, Only Love Can Break Your Heart. The acoustic opener, Tell Me Why. Don't Let It Bring You Down, that Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young also played. And the Don Gibson cover, Oh Lonesome Me. There's Neil. Yeah, just one of his best albums. It's on the Reprise label. My first runner-up, it was going to be my number one pick, and then I changed. What did I change it to? Yeah, Van Morrison, Moondance, on the Warner Brothers label. Probably his most accessible album, and just almost every song on here, if they released it as a single, would get some airplay, I think. They got the Joyful and It Stoned Me, about kids going fishing and their journey after that. You got Moondance, often his most often played song in concert. Got some jazz leanings in it. You got Everyone, which was played at the ending of the Wes Anderson film, The Royal Tenenbaums. Caravan shows his R&B influence. Of course, the most famous version of that is the one he does with the band for The Last Waltz. And then you got Into the Mystic. It just doesn't get much better than this song. I talked my way into it being my number one, but that's just an amazing Van Morrison album, Moondance. For my favorite song of 1970, the fourth runner-up is off this Cosmos Factory album, and it's Who'll Stop the Rain. Great CCR song highlighting a sense of dread when things often seem hopeless. It's really a song about frustration with this amazing John Fogerty vocal on it. Who'll Stop the Rain, my fourth runner-up. My third runner-up, off Led Zeppelin 3. And it's the song That's the Way. Now, this Led Zeppelin 3 album is known as their acoustic album, and this song is a perfect example. It is one of their most beautiful songs, and probably the closest they ever come to a folk ballad, but I've always loved it. That's the Way, Led Zeppelin. My second runner-up, let's throw a little country in here, and it's from Merle Haggard, and it's the song I Can't Be Myself. My favorite Merle Haggard song with this great heart-rendering vocal. Of course, Merle Haggard's phrasing was kind of developed by listening to Lefty Frizzell. A lot of similarities in their vocal styles. It's a Haggard pen tune where he sings with regret that he would have to change who he is as a person for his relationship to work. Just a beautiful song. I think what I usually do is I try to put a YouTube link to these songs that I pick. And I'll try to do the one from the Johnny Cash show, because that's a really good one of him singing this song. And my first runner-up this year, and any other year, it would probably be my number one song. That's from Van Morrison, and it's the song Into the Mystic. Van takes us on a spiritual quest with one of his most beautiful songs, where a sailor pledges to return to his love. I love the imagery. I love the cello filling in for the foghorn, and some of Morrison's most gorgeous singing is fantastic. Into the Mystic, just a wonderful tune. To my number one song, and it's from Brook Benton, his album Today, and it's the song Rainy Night in Georgia. The single came out in December of 1969, but I'm counting it as 1970 when the album came out. This is a song written by Tony Joe White, and Brook Benton's hit cover is my favorite song of all time. And the main reason is Brook Benton's vocals. I've always liked his vocal inflections that he puts into this rendition. When he sings, Lord, I believe it's raining all over the world, you just really believe him. Just fantastic. Brook Benton and Rainy Night in Georgia. Get to the movies. My favorite film of 1970, the fourth runner-up, is Five Easy Pieces. This is a Criterion Collection one edition, and it's spine number 546. But yeah, these Criterions are really great with a lot of extras. But this is probably maybe the best movie of 1970, but I have four others that I enjoy more. This is a brilliant character study of a talented pianist who gave up a promising career and is now working on an oil rig, kind of an angry drifter played by Jack Nicholson. This has the classic diner scene where he tries to get around their no substitutions policy and ends up with explosive anger. And that may be why it's not higher on my list, as the main character is actually pretty unlikable. But it's a great film, directed by Bob Rafelson, Five Easy Pieces. My third runner-up is Little Big Man, directed by Arthur Penn, who also directed Bonnie and Clyde. I'm not a big fiction reader, but I had read Thomas Berger's humorous novel, Little Big Man, and I think the movie did a fine job of capturing the spirit of the book. It stars Dustin Hoffman as 121-year-old Jack Crabb recounting his adventures. Like he was raised by an Indian tribe. He fights with General Custer at Little Bighorn. It's quite a yarn and a rewarding watch. Also, Chief Dan George is also great as Old Lodgeskins, an old Indian chief. Little Big Man. My second runner-up is The Ballad of Cable Hogue, directed by Sam Peckinpah. It stars Jason Robards as Cable Hogue. It's Sam Peckinpah's most affectionate picture and his favorite from what I understand. Jason Robards' character is a drifter who stumbles upon water in the desert, and that becomes an important stop for stagecoaches. One highlight is his relationship with a prostitute played by Stella Stevens. Unique relationship. I like The Wild Bunch, and like The Wild Bunch, it highlights the disappearance of the Old West as Cable starts seeing the automobile replace the stagecoach that used to come and stop at his location. Just a wonderful film, Battle of Cable Hogue, Sam Peckinpah. My first runner-up for 1970 is MASH. Here you see Donald Sutherland and Elliot Gould. Black comedy about a MASH medical unit during the Korean War, whose themes called out, the Vietnam War. It definitely looked at the counterculture feelings of the era through humor, but with some serious undertones. It was a bit more brazen than the television series it spawned, but I like them both. I love Donald Sutherland and Robert Duvall's performances, especially, and also Altman's use of overlapping dialogue. Just a wonderful film, MASH. For my favorite film of 1970, it's from a director I've talked about before, and it's Jean-Pierre Melville, and this is his film Le Cercle Rouge, which translates to The Red Circle. It's just another film from the great French director who made some fantastic genre films, especially his masterful crime films. This is one of the best heist films ever. It has the amazing heist sequence done in complete silence and has had an influence on so many other films. The French stars Alain Delon and Yves Montand are both in this one, and they're perfect in their roles. Just understated cool. The Cercle Rouge. And now to my favorite television show of 1970. I will say that 1969 and 1970 was kind of a lull in great television series, but I did find four this year that I enjoyed. So let's get to them. My third runner-up is UFO. This sci-fi series was from Britain, and it was about an organization that helped protect the Earth from extraterrestrial threats. The show only lasted one season. They have a base on the moon. They have a submarine that can launch an interceptor spacecraft, and an organization that is kept secret from the public about the UFO threat. The special effects aren't what we would expect now, and it has some kind of music that sometimes doesn't really seem to fit. But if you're in the right mood, it is a wonderful series, and I really enjoyed it. UFO. My second runner-up is The Immortal. Uh, Now, this is another series that only lasted one season. It's about a man played by Christopher George who is immortal and is on the run from a powerful elderly billionaire who wants to exploit him and his blood. And he's also seeking his long lost brother that he thinks may also be in danger. Uh, Sad part about this is, even though he's playing an immortal, he died at the age of 52, Christopher George, of a heart attack. Of course, some say it was because of a Jeep accident he had on the television series The Rat Patrol. But yeah, The Immortal with Christopher George. My first runner-up, McCloud. There he is, Dennis Weaver. This is the complete series. One of the NBC mystery movie rotating series with Dennis Weaver as Deputy Marshal Sam McCloud from Taos, New Mexico, on loan to the New York City Police Department. Cowboy in the Big City provided some of the humorous moments as he reacted with New Yorkers, and he used his homespun manner to solve difficult cases. A lot of people may remember Dennis Weaver as Chester from the Gunsmoke TV series, but this was a great series, one of the best of the mystery movie rotating series. My favorite television show from 1970 is The Mary Tyler Moore Show. Of course, she was great on the Dick Van Dyke Show, but this wonderful comedy starred Mary Tyler Moore as Mary Richards, who moves to Minneapolis to become associate producer at a local television news station. She was an independent single woman, which was kind of unique in 1970, at least on television. It was populated with some wonderful character actors like Ed Asner, as Lou Grant, who later became Lou Grant in a TV series of his own, although it was a serious television show. I think for the most part, I didn't really watch it. Then you got Ted Knight as Ted Baxter right there. You got Cloris Leachman as her neighbor Phyllis. And then her friend Rhoda, played by, what was her name? Valerie Harper, who also had her own TV show as a spinoff as Rhoda. Also, Betty White was on the series, and Gavin McLeod from later became the captain on Love Boat. But just a wonderful series. Mary Tyler Moore Show, one of the best. And that's it for 1970. I'd like to see what your picks would be down below in the comment section, and hope everyone's doing well, and I'll see you in 1971.